Cedric Maxwell podcast
is brought to you by PrizePicks.
I have two of my best friends right now who are here. Lester Connor, tip your hat, Lester, 1982 Oregon State, and J.B. Carroll, 1980 first-round draft pick, first pick in the draft in 1980. And I have a connection with him that he doesn't probably even know.
I hope it's nice.
I'll start this out. This is going to be kind of easy. I'll start with
you be gentle, man. You got to be gentle, man, because you're not paying.
That's right. Right, JB. I know how this is. So 1980, you come to the league. You get the Celtics had the first pick in the draft.
They did.
Did you think you were coming to Boston?
I didn't know. You know, I think that's a big thing now. Looking back, nobody knew what was going on back then. And remember when 1980, man, they were thinking that the league was going to be over back then. So it's hard to compare it from then to now.
And the crazy thing about it was you came in 1980, Celtics had the first pick in the draft, and I had talked to Al Adams. Eventually, you went to San Francisco.
I did.
And I talked to Al Adams a week before the draft, and they told me what we're going to do. They said they had the third pick in the draft, and what we're going to do, we're going to take this kid, Kevin McHale. We're going to make you're a free agent. We're going to give you an offer sheet, and we're going to have you, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parish out in Golden State. And within 3 days, all of a sudden it tipped over where the Celtics end up giving Golden State the pick. They take you with the first pick. We get Robert Parish, and eventually we get Kevin McHale with the first pick in the draft with the third pick. Anybody ever talk to you about that? I know they have, but just
I'm kind of out of the loop, man. I didn't follow it closely. Naively, I just wanted to go play basketball and go to the house. I didn't understand all the political aspects of the game back then. I mean, you learn over time. I mean, there was a period of time I didn't even talk to the press, which I don't recommend to anybody to do that. They say you shouldn't argue with people that buy their ink by the barrel, And but anyway, I mean, we're 40 years later. I mean, 20, 40, 35, 45 years later. I just can't even. I mean, the details of some of that stuff escapes me, even though I'm the subject of it.
But that has always been the subject of people in Boston. Oh my God, Joe Barry Carroll made the trade. You didn't make the trade, but the Celtics made the trade, and they got Robert Parish and Kevin McHale for Joe Barry Carroll as he went out to Golden State. And they always go, "Oh my God, what a trade! What a trade!" You had a great career in Golden State, though, and you loved every moment of it until you eventually came to, play with me and Lester down in Houston.
Yeah. Well, I'm great. Matt, I'm really grateful. You got to understand, I'm a child of a sharecropper and a day laborer. And I go from there to graduating Purdue with a degree in economics, played, long enough to do 14,000 career points and all-star game and get to meet all these cats like you guys. I mean, it's going to be hard for somebody to hurt my feelings about my career, Yeah. Here I am now. I mean, I would give you the details of my current life, but you'd think I was making it up.
Well, we're going to definitely hit off that. Lester, right. You always talk about teams that you play with and great players you play with. You happen to come to Houston. Eventually, you played with me, Olajuwon. A little bit about that, how you got there, that lifestyle, and you were under the great Bill Fitch for a long time.
Well, it was a transition for me getting there because the whole year, I sat out a whole year before I even joined the Houston Rockets because George Karl at the time, he didn't think I was worthy of giving me a contract. He wanted me to come in on to make good. And I sat out the whole year and just was playing around the Bay Area where I could get a game. And coming there to play with, you, since you said you included yourself as being a great player, playing with you and Olajuwon and all the
Lester, let me stop you right now. There's only been 35 people in the history of the NBA been a Finals MVP, and damn it, I'm one of them. I had to say that to Draymond Green. So you going with your story?
Wait, didn't you know that I knew that already? That you
since you kind of kicking me like, hey,
you kind of caught up in your feelings, aren't you? He was joking, man. We know you a
man.
star. You a star, man. You a star. Goddamn, you got caught up with your feelings already.
We did that in Houston. We all joked around. Now he got this podcast, JB, and he like getting sensitive. But yeah, it was great going to Houston. Getting out of the Bay Area because there was so much pressure for me playing in the Bay Area because I grew up there, went to high school, junior college, and then come back getting drafted. And then everybody pulling on you, wanting things, and think you had this and think you had that. So it was actually a blessing going out there to play with you great players, Cedric Maxwell and Olajuwon and Lewis Lloyd, and the list goes on and on.
We certainly had a good time.
I want to say this to you, and this is real funny, since you kind of mentioned that. JB, tell us a little bit about your next act after you got through playing basketball, because we had a fascinating conversation yesterday, myself, you, and Lester, talking about what you do now.
Part of my time, I'm an artist, and I write. I'm on book number 6 now, so I'm publishing. But also, my day job, so to speak, is that I'm an investment advisor, and I run, investments and advisory for mostly NFL players, but high net worth families, anywhere from $2 million to $50 million worth of assets, and it's a good day. You made, when we were talking yesterday, we were all talking about, Lester, you can attest to this. We're all talking about how we were, and I felt that way, how we were, I don't know, we weren't robbed of money, Lester, but we did not know how to handle our money. And JB told us, he said, look, guys, you cannot beat yourself up because you didn't have the knowledge. You remember him saying that, Lester?
Yeah, and and he was absolutely right. We didn't have the knowledge. I was trying to get used to, getting drafted and playing in the NBA and playing at home like everybody else on this phone was like getting used to the rigors of the NBA and learning how to do all that. And when you go from, at that time, my first contract, my first year, I made $75,000. And, back in that day, that was a lot of money because everything wasn't as expensive. And I didn't know anything about that. And, it was just unfortunate that, the agent that I had, I think he siphoned some money from me. And
what was his name?
Huh?
What was his name?
Rest in peace. I'm not even gonna mention his name.
Oh, I'll mention it.
That's not
father.
That's not important. That's not important.
It was important.
Well, I think what I'm gonna rescue him here. I think that we did the best we could with what we had at that time, and my point in our conversation the other day is that we have to be gentle with ourselves. We're children. We were children then. That's why when you were talking to me about the Celtics and all that stuff, man, half that stuff, I can't even recall the details of it because it's so much more complicated than it would appear now looking back at it. But we do have to be gentle with ourselves because we do the best we can. Nobody's going out trying to mess up millions of dollars, but they do because they don't know any better. So when we know better, we should do better, But unfortunately, being ball players, you got this short window, this small window of 5, 10, maybe 50. Well, for some guys who play longer, 15 years even, to where all that money you make, you got to make the right decision because you don't get a do-over.
Well, you made a great point of that, and Lester and I, and the thing that you shared with me and Lester was we're kind of different because Lester and I were both married, we were both divorced. So, and the big thing that we're looking at you, JB is I'm gonna point to him right now. That's a white rhino right there, a black man with no kids. Les, come on, talk to me, man. Come on,
yeah, man.
Help me out here.
That's what I was saying to you earlier, that he's an anomaly. I mean, all these guys now, I mean, shoot, we can mention some names. I mean, you got Sean Kemp with a ton of kids, and you got Dwight Howard with a ton of kids. And, it's to JB not to have any. I mean, hey, hats off to you, brother.
I'm sure it made sense to those guys at the time that they did it.
No, it didn't.
I wish I could take credit for all of that. I think it was just selfishness on my part. I kind of knew what being married and a father meant. Like at 67 now, I could be a great husband and a father because I ain't got nowhere to go. I got nothing to do. I mean, when I get off phone with you, I got a canvas waiting over here. I'm going to paint tonight. I can do that with children and a wife, but when we're young and, living that life, we're about that life. We are, all of you have, I know you, we need flexibility.
Well, how did you happen to make that decision? Because you said that, she said, I was selfish and I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And as a husband and a father, your whole philosophy kind of turns around when you think about what you do for your kids, right, Les?
Right, yeah, because once you have kids, it's all about their life. You giving yours up to devote to your life for them and making sure that they had it better for you and to make sure that they're safe at night and going to school. I mean, things happen today in this world, like yesterday, the Catholic school shooting. I mean, I worry about that when my kids go to school.
Well, I think dating is good. I think you guys might have wanted to spend a little more time dating. I mean, you probably had more leverage than you knew at that time. But again, we're old people now. We can talk about this. I know it's a little sensitive to y'all because that hurts when you have to go through a couple of divorces.
No, not a couple, just one. Renee Maxwell, that was it. One and done. That's it. You met her, so
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
a whole other story.
She was nice to me. I don't even understand what your problem was.
It was all on him.
I know both. I know both of your wives. They were great to me. I don't understand what y'all complaining about.
That's because you wasn't married to him.
I know.
Exactly.
And maybe you shouldn't have been either.
Hey, don't say you do if you don't.
Yeah, right.
I believe
that's our slogan.
That where we were at that time, and I look at kids, I look at myself, and I did like that about what Lester did. Lester waited for a while before he got married, and I thought that was smart. Now, eventually got divorced or whatever, but you waited, you were 39?
Yeah, when I got married, and I had the kids late too. My twins just turned 19. I wanted to make sure that, like JB said, that I dated as long as I wanted to, and once I said, you know what, it's time to settle down, because most athletes want to have a son, and so that's what I was aiming for. I didn't know that it came out the other way. I got two beautiful twins, as you call them, Max, Simone, and T-Bone, which is that Simone and Alana, but. Yeah, I wanted to wait to make sure that I was doing the right thing and wouldn't bring any of my dating, let's say, into the marriage.
Well, what advice would you give, JB, for a young player who was thinking about marriage, other than I guess a prenup? I guess you'd say that. But what advice you give him? Because I know at 28, I look back on myself now. As much as I love my family and kids, I shouldn't have been married at 28 years old. I could have waited. I wish I waited like less till I was 40.
But
yeah.
That. I think that's the thing we're talking about being gentle with yourself. It made sense at the time. You could not have known. I mean, the things we understand clearly sitting here today, we had no notion of before. But
right.
The answer to your question is that I think it's different for different people. With respect to ball players, I think a prenup is good. I don't think, and again, you got somebody who's never been married trying to advise somebody who's been through a war, right? But I think that a prenup does not say you keep everything and your spouse gets nothing. It just creates some type of organization about how those assets should be distributed when you decide that this marriage is not going to happen again. So you need some order, because if you're very angry when you get a divorce. and you don't want to be making decisions when you're angry. Most people are anyway. That's what I would offer, because that can create some difficulty for you in terms of preserving your wealth.
How do you do that with the player? How do you do that with the players you have now? The guys you advise now. You got football players. You got football players whose careers are a lot shorter. You got some basketball players. What advice do you go to them with when they go, well, JB, I decided I'm gonna get married, and he's 20, 26, 27 years old. What do you say anything, or you just kind of roll your eyes? I mean, as an older.
I think it depends. It varies from person to person. I mean, the best advice, the recommendation is, if advice is requested, then you give advice, because I'm an investment advisor. I'm not a family counselor or legal. So it's not really my area. If I'm going to talk to them about being married or prenups or something like that, that's something that we're just chatting about, because you do have kind of a family. You end up having kind of an emotional relationship with these young men, because we've been where they're going. They think that they invented everything they're dealing with in their 20s. They think it's brand new and it didn't even work. They're perfecting it, but they're not. They're dealing exactly. We see them, and I know you run into this with both of you when you Lester coaching and you doing that whole environment that you're in with the broadcast and all that stuff. You see them and you go like, there he goes, and he don't even have to know you for you to know where he's headed, because we're not the same, but we all rhyme.
But these contracts now, JB and Lester, of $200 and $300 million. I mean, these contracts have just gone insane. Whereas I remember when we played, I remember Olajuwon had a deal going for, it wasn't Olajuwon, excuse me. At the time it was Moses Malone, had a contract and was in Houston, and he got $1 million a year, but was $1 million cash. Something that none of us had ever heard of, because it's like they were paying you with funny money back in the day. And when I mean funny money, there was a thing, the NBA, it was deferred payments. So if they would pay you $800,000, but they would pay you $400,000 for the year, and then put the other money, you can explain that better than I can, JB.
Well, I don't know what the current collective bargaining agreement is. But I will say I'm happy for the guys. I think I'm not one of those old cats that's complaining or got something to say foul about these guys. I'm happy for them. I love the way they claim the game. They come along at a time to where they got revenue sharing, with these guys, to where there's certain items that the players get a percentage of. I think that's great. I mean, think about it. Somebody's writing their salary somebody's paying their salary to them, and they've got enough money to pay them $200-300 million. Imagine what owners get, and by the way, owners should get that, because they have a lot of risk in the game, but I'm just saying it's business, as the gangsters say, it's business. It's not personal.
Yeah. And, it's like, when I used to go to the All-Star games. I used to love to hang out at the Retired Players Association office just to hear the stories that those guys were telling. And I'm all for them guys making as much as they can, as long as they can, because like JB said, my friends used to say, damn, man, that dude ain't even worth that. He getting all that money. I said, well, imagine what the owners are making for them to be able to pay that. So I'm picking back off JB. They making a boatload of money because they can write those checks.
I mean, both of you guys.
You're worth whatever someone will pay you. If someone wanted to buy one of my paintings, I'm not going to argue them down on that. It's like, okay, there you go. That's what it's worth, kind of thing.
Let me be an old school hater, okay? I guess I'm the only one going to be for real. How the hell are these boys making this kind of damn money when, we think about the way the game is played now, and it's so much more easy for players to play, be it the food, we never stayed at a 4-star hotel. All I remember, the best hotel we stayed at was the Marriott Airport in Los Angeles.
So
that, and all the places in New York,
Max.
What?
So So what?
I'm just.
That's not their fault. Should they walk away? Should they walk away from their prosperity?
I am not saying this.
Hear me out though. Should they walk away from their prosperity because they get?
I'm just hating on some of the fact that they go, "Woe is me, woe is me, woe is me," and I just like to. I would just like to put one of them on the bus one day and pull up at a damn Holiday Inn or a damn Best Western and just to see how they would act.
The Hagenberger Hyatt.
They would probably lose their damn mind. I
mean,
the
Hagenberger Hyatt.
Caesar Hotel.
The Hagenberger Hyatt.
But be fair to know that some of these young people, they grew up from Little League all the way up to the professional career with an expectation of this is the way life was going to be. When we were children, I mean, it was a big deal to get a scholarship to college. You know, because Les, you didn't go straight from high school to college, the class A, whatever.
I went to 2 junior colleges before I got a scholarship at Oregon State.
And we had no choice but to be grateful for what came. I mean, it was like I won the lottery just to get into college, and then to double down on that to end up making money in the NBA. That's a great thing. But these young people, they come up with that expectation. I think they should be who they are, and and stop hating on them. You're jealous.
No. I don't hate on all of them because I look at some of the stories. One of them in particular to me is Jason Tatum's story, and I love his story because he talks about how he would come home with his mom and they weren't doing what, and there would be a red notice on the door of eviction, and she would be in tears and all that stuff. So a lot of the players we know didn't grow up with silver spoons in their mouths. They didn't do that. But I look at some of the players who had dads who played in the NBA. They had a different perspective than some of the players that some of these other people who struggled during that particular time.
I think it's okay for it to be the way it is. I just don't think you can use all this privilege that you have, to use it up and then expect that you're going to get the benefits. Like if you make $100 million and you spend $100 million, you got zero. So that's where your privilege ends, to where you make decisions that you can't support. It's not, it has no longevity to it, but that's
didn't you say that line about, which I loved yesterday when you said, yeah, you make $100 million over 10 years or whatever it is. And then the next thing you know, you come up with zero, and now you got to buy a ticket to the game. I was like, damn, that's cool.
Well, I think we confuse popularity with prosperity. So what you want to do, the ideal thing is just, save enough money, to invest enough money to be able to buy you a suite at whatever venue you want to go to, and not even rely on people's generosity, because that will change. That's going to change. Because it'll be someone else's turn. There's only so many people who can get in the room. And when someone enters, another person has to exit. So we're not being realistic otherwise, But I think I'm sorry, Lester, go.
No, I was just going to Max. The league is doing great. That's why they're making so much money. You got these TV deals. You got games being played over in Europe. They talk about maybe starting a league over in Europe. So the prosperity of the league is doing great, and David Stern kind of took it to a whole nother level, and Adam Silver, who was working under him, is doing the same thing. So we cannot, as you use the word, Max, we can't hate on them for making all this type of money, even if you feel they might not be worth it. But like JB said, if you're getting paid that's what you're worth, and the league is just making gazillions of dollars.
Guys, you know what this is right here?
Look like a soap.
A cup?
No.
I went to Purdue. That's a cup.
This is haterade. Hold on.
Well, how's that working for you? What does that get you?
It's working pretty good that I can still hate because I'm around them all the time. And I benefit from it in the fact that I'm on the planes with them. I'm in these great hotels. I don't even know. We all remembered when flights we used to take after a game, we had to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning to go get on a commercial.
Be there 2 hours
and all that. Now these guys, they leave right after the game. They have you remember how we used to look for food after a game? How you you would go if you were in a hotel someplace and you in a opposing city, and all of a sudden you're going, yo man, tell them to keep the restaurant open because we're gonna be late. We're gonna try to get there after the game. You remember? And now they got a chef in the locker room. They're bringing out food in.
I don't think it's a real privilege to have a jet take you after the game to the next city, because you know what? You got to push all of your social life into the afternoon before the game. And that's what I don't think those owners were thinking very well. now
get him, JB, get him. Don't let him hate.
They be calculating. I'm like, if we got a plane, why can't we leave in the morning? I got people in this city.
Well, you know, players have so much power now that sometimes we stay over in certain cities that we could leave. But I love the relationship, right, with some of the players and the coaches, because the players and the coaches will get together and they'll talk about that. Bill Finch would have died and gone wherever he was going if a player was making the decision about staying overnight.
Yeah, where did he go, Max?
Where did he go, Max?
What's my agent's name? Where did Bill Finch go, Max?
Where did he go?
Heaven.
Oh, now who are we talking about? Did you change the subject?
Bill Finch. We all played for him.
Let's move on. Let's move on. I'm sure you got a long list of stuff there.
Oh my God, I absolutely love you guys. Let's talk about a little bit about I always want to say this when I'm talking to some of the older players, and you made mention of it, was the social life. Is there a difference now between the social life when we played, JB and Lester, than it is now? Because you're saying that after something called afternoon delight, I think that's what you call that.
I didn't say that. But,
well, you insinuated that, okay?
I noticed you just trying to get us to say stuff. We're gonna catch a headline here somewhere.
Yeah, look, neither one of you are getting no checks from the NBA anymore, so you ain't got to worry about it. You ain't got to worry about that.
I don't have anything to be fair. I don't have. Go ahead. To be fair, I don't have anything to compare it to. I only know what was happening 40 years ago. I have no idea how these young guys negotiate their social life or how that works, because they're a generation. See, the challenge with us talking about them, each generation has its own mark and identity, and we shouldn't expect for us to appreciate these guys or celebrate them in the same way that they celebrate themselves. So get over it, man. You old, it's over. We never gonna go back and play. If we could go back and play, I'd go back and play if we could play half court and I only had to play offense. But as far as I saw the last time they were playing, they're playing both ends.
What you're gonna have to do right now, Les, we always knew he always came to that. It was that swinging hook shot. You knew it was coming. Now JB would bring that swinging hook. You had to change that to a 3-point shot. Now, JB.
That's right.
Man, I do not understand that part. Like we all know, the closer you get to the basket, the higher your percentage of completion is. I don't know what the hell happened that you got a 7-footer out behind that 3-point line shooting. And I'm guessing if I were playing in this current generation, I'd figure out a way to make that happen. But I couldn't make any money out on the floor. I'm going to pass it to give it back to Lester and tell him, hold up, I got to get down on the block. But I'm not going to be trying to shoot 3-pointers.
And let me tell you this, Lester wasn't going to make that either. He wasn't no 3-point threat like that. Yeah,
that's where the intelligence is. If you don't have it, you don't try to reach for it. Just leave it alone. But I'm going to leave that between you and Les. I don't think that was a compliment, Les.
Let me turn my head because you about to say something about your 3-point ability. Go ahead. Go. You run this for me. Go ahead.
Who you talking to?
I'm talking to you.
I think he ambushing you, bro.
The 3-point shooter, but damn, you ain't got to let everybody in the podcast know. Let them Google that shit.
But he didn't have to be a 3-point shooter. He had other skills. Lester had other talents.
This is what we do in this podcast. We keep it real. We keep it real. That's all we do. So your 3-point ability, just like mine, I played with you enough one-on-one to know I wasn't guarding you from the three-point line. So I'm just saying our games, the way we look at it, have really changed. Now, here's one thing I want to get from both of you guys. I'm putting a Mount Rushmore in your backyard. And you got 4 athletes you can put in your backyard in your Mount Rushmore. Who would that be? Who would that be, JB? I'll let you go first.
Man, that's a tough one. Because I don't know. I mean, when we played, of course,
you know, and it can go. It doesn't have to be basketball. It can be any one of the sports.
Well, I'm a big fan of LeBron James, but I'm not even sure if it's because of just basketball, although he's an excellent basketball player. I'm just so proud of him in what he's doing with educating children. He's a great family man. You never hear any bullshit about, this, that, and the other thing and the scandal sheets about him. So I'm proud of him. I'm proud of these guys. I like the way Steph Curry, he's a goddamn magician. I mean, that's like
he's changed the game, though. He's changed the game.
It's so impressive that he carved out a whole place that didn't even exist before. Always been a fan of Magic.
The Cedric Maxwell podcast is brought to you by PrizePicks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in all of North America. PrizePicks is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Pick more or less on at least 2 players to win up to 2,000 times your cash. How do you play? That's simple. You can pick one sport, cross sports, doesn't matter. Pick more or less on any of the stats offered on the platform, and you can pick 2, 3, 4, doesn't matter. It's that simple. For me personally, I like to settle in on one game, see what's going on. That way I can track it, players on both sides, and that's how I like to make my selections, but you can play however you want. The most important thing for you to do is download that app and use the code CLNS. That's code CLNS, and you get 50 put into your account as soon as you play 5. All you have to do is play 5, get 50 when you use the code CLNS. In addition to that special offer, there's a lot of other great features on PrizePicks. Taco Tuesday, where you get a discounted stat or a discounted player. Freaky Friday, lots of free squares, which basically just allows you to insert something into your lineup, which is almost certain to hit. Makes it that much easier to win your cash. So once again, download that app today. Use code CLNS, play 5, and get 50 instantly in your account. Once again, download the app, code CLNS, get 50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game.
Kareem was very difficult, but this is what I admired about him. He never shot a shot that wasn't ready. If his feet were not ready and he couldn't get that full extension, the ball would go back out. I've never seen him shoot a bad shot, and rarely has anybody blocked his shot. They usually have to get him before then.
Did you and Kareem ever sit down? Because he is very interesting with his conversation. Intellectually, I know how you talk to people. Did you ever get a chance to sit down and just have a one-on-one with him?
I tried, we were in the All-Star game in '87 together on that West squad. And I tried, but I didn't, he wasn't available. Kareem, I'm not sure where he is in his life now, but he wasn't really open. He didn't welcome that from me. And it could have been me, understand. And we didn't have a beef or anything. It's just that because I had read about him as a child, but we never really had a relationship. I've seen him do a lot of work since he's been retired, but back then that wasn't something that I felt was available.
I just, it's funny though, because I look at both you guys intellectually in the same kind of realm, thinking above basketball. I've been around him a couple times, had conversations with him at autograph signing. One thing he would talk about was his love for, and I have a shirt on, well, I have one today, but the Negro League. And he would talk about the polo grounds and some of the teams that were there and what they were doing. And man, he just has such a a feel for it. And when I talk to you, I get the same kind of that. Not you're aloof, but intellectually you have all these different things that stir your mind, which to me is really cool. Like I said, I came on this thing almost to the thought of like, okay, I'm gonna talk to JB about, you know, this trade that the Celtic fans still talking. You just go, well, I don't really remember that.
Well, obviously I remember that, Max. I just don't think I just can't think of it as being very important when I compare that to the whole my life, because I'm telling you, it's been a long journey, man. And I sit, you know, and I'm very grateful for where I am. And if some jackass have, you know, these guys in the barbershop or on the corner and they talking this talk, and, you know, we all know that talk. Everybody, I mean, think about it. People have criticism of LeBron James.
Yeah.
How do you have criticism of this young man? You know, kind of thing. So I think as people in public life, you got to have a thick skin, man, and you got to keep moving, because all the time anyone's ever having any criticism of Joe, I'm still moving, man. I don't stop and lay in that. You know, I'm in a certain place financially. I'm involved with all this philanthropy and charity, and it's my money. You know, I'm just doing. I'm busy. You know, I'm aware of these things. I'm not saying that, you know, I don't get my feelings hurt every now and then. I mean, we all do. We're human. But it's not something that's ever going to stop me, because I'm busy, man. I got to keep moving.
You know, my feelings actually kind of got hurt, and you were indirectly involved in it. And that was when our coach, Lee Rose, passed away a couple of years ago. Right. And you spoke in Purdue about him, but you came down to UNC Charlotte and you spoke about him, and nobody asked me to speak. I just wanted to let you know I was really kind of taken back by that. I'm like, how the hell can he come in and speak about the coach at UNC Charlotte and I played with him here?
Well, I regret that they didn't put you in the program. And I wasn't involved with that, by the way. But I don't even know. I just know that they asked me, and I think also I had just written his book. We wrote did you get a copy of that book?
I did not get a copy of it.
I'll send you a copy of his book. It's a really great memoir talking about him and Eleanor, his bride of 100 years, and all of that. And I thought it was funny. You came up to me later going like, yeah, I guess they should have asked me, because I don't remember all this sweet stuff, you know, because people reach for it. And I was talking to someone, and I said, well, I don't know Coach to be that kind of, I mean, he was effective. Now he was the best teacher I ever had. I had a father, so I did not need my coach to be my father figure, but he was a hell of a teacher. And I wish I had met him earlier. I wish I had met him in the first 2 years of college. I only got the last 2 years with him, but he made the difference between me being 14,000 points, whatever it is. It's getting bigger as I get older. As players die off, my number goes higher, 15,000, 20,000. I'm going to be the leading scorer in the NBA before it's over. But anyway, I mean, he made a difference. That's what put me in that spot, because we were really productive while he was at Purdue. And I was always grateful for that.
Well, the fact that you got to the Final Four.
We went to the NIT finals in my junior year, and we went to the Final Four my senior year.
Isn't that funny how that happened? Because
you guys did the same thing.
Yeah, he
did the same thing at Charlotte.
Yeah, he was with me when we went to the Final Four, and the next thing you know, we get back and we get to the next year. We get to the finals, the big dance, and it was just so cool. But he was for us. I always tell the story. I wanted to tell that story that day. You were like, oh my God, Coach was this and he was that. We were petrified of Lee Rose. Lee Rose walked in the first day of camp. The first day that he was introduced, says new head coach of UNCC basketball. And he walks in and says, "Gentlemen, my name is Lee Rose. I'm from Transylvania University in Kentucky. I'm your new head basketball coach. I'm going, these were his next words. I'm going to need some scholarships from some of you guys because some of you can't play." And so he was already, that was the first day.
Well, but he did something similar to that.
He came right at it. And it's like, we were just, and I hear you saying, "Oh, coach was this." Most of the guys that were under him when we were at UNC Charlotte, Lee was the general. That's what nobody wanted to fuck with Lee. That was just, that's the way it went.
But he was intense. He was intense. He was intense with us. I'm sure coaches are kind of like parents. Whatever child is not in the room, is the one they're most proud of. So when he got to Purdue, all he talked about was you and Chad Kinch, and when he left Purdue and went to Florida, I ran into a couple of those guys before, and they were talking that he talked about me and Roosevelt Barnes, maybe kind of thing. So it was always, I think coaches are just that way. Now, remember, we were at a memorial service, so that's not a place to square old grievances. So you're going to always highlight nothing. Everything I said was genuine and authentic, but there were other things that, why would you bring that up at a memorial service,
I would. That was me with the hate.
But he was very proud of you. As a matter of fact, he told me a story one time about you as kind of like a standard bearer. He says, you came to dinner before you went off to play, to get drafted to the Celtics. And he was always touched that you brought his wife one rose. Do you remember that? That was back when you had good manners.
Let me tell you, that's a lie.
No.
I never bought Eleanor a rose.
Well,
I loved her to death, but
let's go with. But you could have.
No.
Maybe he's talking about your potential.
I'm not going to give myself credit for something I know I didn't do.
Okay, so if it wasn't a rose, maybe you said hello, Rose, or something. I don't know what the hell. I don't know. But my point to you is, he thought highly of you. And I think that it was just a mishap that you were not invited to speak at the service. And if I had known that, you could have actually taken my place, because I had written a whole book about it.
No.
I written a whole book about it, so I had made all my compliments present then, and people had the book.
I was fine with you talking. I really was. It was just that you were at my university, and I didn't get a chance to. I know you're the greatest player, one of the greatest players in Purdue history. Well, I happen to be one of the greatest players in UNC Charlotte history. And for me not to speak that day, Lester, as you like to say, Lester, my communication skills. Yeah, I had some stuff I wanted to get off my chest for some of the guys who were there, and Les, you might have missed it, but yeah, JB had a great line. He was telling these stories, and he was just like, man, Lee Rose, coach, was so good. He was so nice to people. And all the guys who were sitting around me who played at UNC Charlotte all were hunching me going, hey, say something, break in and tell him how, he was a bully and he did things to guys. And oh my God, it was just so funny. But so that's what I was talking about, Lester.
Most coaches that I know, that's who they are, The crazy thing is, when you see them later, they don't remember any of that.
Wow.
At that time, because we forget sometime, and I'm not taking up for him, although I might be. There's pressures all around. The world that we live in, it's hard to even describe to people. People have to be there to understand what it's like being a player in those high level institutions, as well as a coach. So everybody's dealing with some stuff. I think one of the things for Coach and I was that I was a pleaser child. I was always on time. Throughout my career, college and professional, I was always on time. You never had to worry about my grades. I was trying to graduate. I had my undergraduates in economics. I did all the good, because I couldn't get away with it. And I don't
And
care.
I was just the opposite. I was rebellious. I was feisty. Unless I just gave Coach some times that he wanted to go on. This fucking Cedric Maxwell. I hate him. But he brought up something a minute ago, and JB said something, and you have a friendship with LeBron James. Why is it that people hate on LeBron the way they do? Because you have a pretty good relationship and you know him well.
Well, yeah, I knew him in his earlier career when I was coaching with Boston. He came and played in our summer league for the first time, and Stacy, my ex-wife at the time, had kind of met his mom, on a fluke. Well, I think some people don't like him because of the fact that he named himself the king. I get that a lot. JB from Marcus, we talk about that all the time. Who gonna name themselves the king and then say that they're the GOAT and the greatest of all time when somebody else should give you those accolades? So I think that's one of them. And then the way he does teams that he go to by hand picking certain guys that he wants and being the player, the general manager, and the coach, I think that rubs some people the wrong way.
Well, didn't Muhammad Ali, say he was the greatest?
Yeah, he said it. He said he was the greatest of all time, and
But
at that time, and he was. But then there's a debate. Let me get this in, Debbie, and then you can take it. But then there's a debate that LeBron isn't the greatest of all time. So unless you're the greatest of all time, you can be able to say that, possibly. But if you're not, I can't say I'm the greatest of all time to ever play the sport. Yeah, like, what the hell are you talking about? You need to be drug tested. So that's, I think, why that rubs people the wrong way sometimes about him.
Well, I think it's okay. I'm okay with him saying that if he says that, especially if he's putting up. I mean, this guy's like 100 years old and he's still killing them. They're almost saying it's time for him. They want him to go. It's like they want to see somebody else, but not because he's not productive. That's the crazy thing. And when people get a thing in their mind about you, you can't shake it loose. Some people are going to feel a certain way because we're all different people. There are different tribes in the world. So there's some people who will be reasonable and they'll, if somebody says something, they'll go check the data and say, oh, that's not true. And then there's some people that feeds right into their madness. So there's just a difference, I think.
Wow.
And that's the challenge for us growing up as children in this game in a public life. It's like we're throwing the wolves. We don't understand how this works. We don't understand what we're up against.
Yeah. Lester, I'm going to let you have this one. In fact, I'm going to tell you who my Mount Rushmore is. I have Muhammad Ali, Tiger Woods, Bill Russell, and the greatest female athlete of all time, Serena Williams. That would be my Mount Rushmore. Now, who will yours be?
That's a good Mount Rushmore. I would put Kareem in over Bill Russell only because what? Let me finish before you get to have.
I didn't say anything, man.
Body language, communication skills, your body language. You like to have that. But no,
Les, it's too late to help him. He's beyond repair, man.
He keeps sipping on the haterade, but I'm saying Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won on every level. High school, college.
Bill Russell won at every level.
The NBA. I'm just saying, wait, hold on, Max. You asked me what was my Mount Rushmore.
I know. I'm just saying.
Becoming a debate.
No, it's not. It's not a debate.
Stephen A. Maxwell.
He did ask for your opinion, didn't he?
Look,
he did.
He's gonna give you your opinion.
Look,
Max is gonna give you your opinion.
Les, if you tell me that you say Kareem won at every level, Bill Russell won at every level, but Bill Russell won more championships than Kareem.
Okay,
That's all I'm saying. I'm not.
Why can't they both be great? I think they're both great in their own. I mean, I know it sounds Pollyannish, but we're talking about two phenomenal athletes.
Well, and here's the thing too. Here's the thing about what I said about Kareem. He's the only one that has a shot that nobody can defend.
I give you that.
I think they both can be incredible in their era, in their time, and even now, as far as that goes. I don't think we need to pick. I think this becomes like a barbershop chatter when you're trying to make one finalist, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just not possible.
Well, this
and
is
then
what
you throw in stuff
what
like
I like
Bill,
about Russell, though.
to your choice of Bill Russell. He was brilliant, just brilliant. I read his book, Up for Glory. Hell, I was in high school or something like that. And for him to be thinking like that, even back then, I mean, he was a grown man because he's much older than I am. But you have to be impressed. Matter of fact, that was one of the greatest compliments I ever gotten throughout his life was at our height, we could see each other across the room. And he would always greet me by my name. And I was shocked that he even knew who I was. But to have Bill Russell said, "Hey, Joe Barry," and we'd hug and shake hands, how you doing kind of thing. I was just so impressed with that.
Well,
Bill
Russell, here it is. Why every time he saw me and I see him, hey, Mr. Russell, how you doing? He do me like this. He give me the middle finger. He would always. Are
you telling us both sides of this story, man?
No, I am, and I talk to.
Because you be doing shit and then be hiding, and you throw rock and hide your hand.
Yeah.
I end up talking to his
That
wife.
don't even sound like Bill Russell.
No, I talked to his wife, and his wife, I said, "Why does Bill do that to me all the time? Give me the middle finger." She said, "Because he likes you." I was like, "Shit, just shake my damn hand, and I'd be glad with that." But he didn't throw a finger at me. He hugged me. He hugged me and said hello.
It's a difference. It's a different like.
The thing I loved about Bill more than maybe, and again, probably had to be with the era, was just his social outlook of where he was at. First black coach in the NBA, head coach. First, this activist who has been bigger than life, in fighting social justice causes. To see him on the front line with Martin Luther King, that to me, and I'm one of the biggest Kareem Abdul-Jabbar fans out there, but that to me, just like Muhammad Ali, puts those guys in an era or an area that I think that is just rare air for the social, the athletic, and all the intellectual properties that they had.
Yep, absolutely.
So I'm not hating on your Kareem, because I told him I wore number 33 in college because of him. He looked at me after, and he said, "Damn, you really did?" I said, "Yeah, because you were," and he was a one Laker right now. I think I'd give a ride to if I saw him, have a flat. I wouldn't give a ride to Magic. I wouldn't give a Magic.
Why not, Max?
You know what? I respect the hell out of Magic. I revere him in so many ways that he is just, because of what he's done with
Max, you starting some shit now. You gonna go like Magic? You wouldn't give him a ride. You gonna see him on the side of the road, and you just gonna drive right by him, start whistle by him. You just you wondering why Bill Russell threw you the finger.
Well, first of all, he ain't gonna need a ride. And secondly,
last time I saw him, he was on a yacht. So he don't really need a ride.
And secondly,
JB, you know how financial things change on you, don't you? They don't always remain the same. Just because you're on the yacht one day, don't mean you're gonna be on the yacht the next day. Max, you're planning on him to have a flat at a later time to where he doesn't have AAA.
You just don't happen to be in the same city.
Right. Do you hear yourself?
Hey, JB, that's coming from when Max was doing the games and he was doing the Lakers. Irvin came up and slapped him behind the head. That's where that came from.
JB, what was that? I mean, I'm 50-something years old. This man comes and slaps me behind the head. What was I supposed to say?
That's what I'm saying. You're not telling the whole story because you got a little grudge. You hold a little grudge.
Cheesy.
Look, I just, you know what? I guess because we played them for a couple of times, and everything he stood for, I hated. I hated the smile that he had. I hated the infectious. I hated when they had Dancing Barry in LA. I hated the form because they had air conditioning. I hated everything about the purple and gold. I hate.
You're safe now. They're not going to hurt you anymore.
I'm not sure because I go to that building.
I wish you lived in Atlanta. I'd come over and give you a hug right now because I'm worried about you. We're too old to be holding on to that shit. You're on such bro.
He got the cup. He got the cup.
You gotta let that shit go, man. That's a joke now. That's got to be for fun now. You're sitting up in bed going like, I don't believe it. I hate him. I'd ride past him if he was on.
Well, on the flip side of that, they say the same thing about the Celtics. B. Scott got a podcast. He said, and Cooper, all them dudes say the same thing. I hate the fucking Celtics.
Man, that was the HBO thing that happened recently. One of the segments that came on at Celtic City, I want to say, is they talked to James Worthy. And the segment started off and they asked James about Boston. And James Worthy said, fuck Boston. Mm-hmm. Fuck Boston. And the title of the segment that came out was fuck Boston. And so there is some hatred there, maybe because you guys didn't play against each other, that we still hold, the Lakers and Celtics still hold against each other, animosity, which is still there.
Let
it go.
You got to go forward, bro.
Let it go.
You got to go. I think we use all that kind of hostility when we're playing because you got to try to get yourself amped up. But when you start collecting Social Security, man, it's kind of like time to go out in the backyard and play with the kids, man. You say you got 3 grandchildren. They probably I hope none of them look like Bill Russell or Kareem.
I just got my first check on Wednesday, so it was my first Social Security check. I do appreciate you saying that.
Patriots Daily is powered by Gametime, the best place to get last-minute tickets to all of your favorite sporting events. And this coming Sunday, Patriots versus Raiders in Gillette Stadium. Behind us, $208 is the get-in price right now. That is the all-in price, one of the best features of the Gametime app. There are no fees included. You get your total up front with no surprises at checkout. So head over there right now, get into this Sunday's game. Take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets with Gametime. Download the app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account, use code CLNS for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Gametime app today.
Guys, I wanted to talk to you about also, I guess, about the state.
You don't have any notes. You just jumping the fuck all around.
No, that's what, and that's what the good podcast.
This is impromptu, man.
That's what the good podcast does. We don't go on my podcast. We don't go with. You see guys going with these scripts and going, all the things that happen.
Clearly.
Right. And we don't do that, and that's why we have so much fun. I wanted to ask you guys about just some personalities, okay? And you tell me. I'm gonna say the name, and you tell me what you think. Stephen A. Smith.
I think he's very intelligent.
I'm gonna pass on that one, bro.
Why you gonna pass? Why?
Because I don't know him and I don't follow. Like, if I'm at your house, I will watch a game or something like that, and we hanging out or something like that. But I don't really follow it close enough. Like, I would have to have followed him saying something or doing something to really have an opinion about him.
All right. I was on his podcast recently, Shannon Sharpe. You know anything about him?
I'm happy for Shannon. We don't know what's going on in the back of all of that. I think there's been he's had a series of unfortunate situations, just to put it lightly. Mm-hmm. But when he was rolling, he was rolling.
Les?
Well, I just think, well, everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes. And I just think he got caught up and, he made some mistakes.
And all of us know that as a public, when you live in the public, there's some stuff you can't explain. There are things that happen in back rooms and boardrooms and all that stuff that it takes too long for you to explain to the public what really happened. I don't know. I wasn't there. I hope he's all right. I hope the people that whoever's affected by this is all right, because I think sometimes things go too far.
Okay. One of the guys that, you know,
what do you think about him?
Shannon Sharpe to me is brilliant.
Brilliant?
Ways. Yeah, brilliant in the way that he can go from subject to subject. That he can connect basketball, baseball, football. He can connect these things together that the common person understands. And that to me, that's a sign of a good host, a good broadcaster. I happened to be on with him, Ocho Cinco, and I think it was Joe Johnson. And I just listened to how he, you know, kind of brought these things together. And I thought it was really fascinating, considering that he had all this other stuff going around him with the trial and him not being on ESPN. I thought it was absolutely kind of crazy. So I found him to be a very and I had Stephen A. Smith on my podcast, and he was really good. He seems like he wants to get to that area where he wants to run for president. I wanted to say, don't do it, bro. Don't.
You want to do what?
Run for president. People right now are exploring.
Who's next on your list of inquiry? Who else you curious about?
I mean that's what he said. Well, my next one happens to be the one that I'm going to kind of talk about is Pat Riley. How do you feel about him? And the reason I say Pat Riley is because I think they're doing this to me and doing this to the Celtics. But Pat Riley is having a statue built in front of the arena in LA on the same day the Celtics go there, on the same day we play our first game.
You have a statue?
Pat Riley has one.
I thought you said, and you.
No. Pat Riley.
Okay. I mean, not that I'm shocked. I was going to applaud it. I wanted us to stop and recognize that. But I thought I misunderstood what you said.
No.
He was always kind. He was always kind to me. He was the coach the year that I went to when I went to the All-Star game.
Man, you're one of the nicest dudes, man. Who was a bitch to you then? Give me somebody who was just a bitch to you. Going, man, because Lester seemed like he likes everybody, and you're like, oh, this guy.
Well,
I like this guy. That guy.
I'm deeply aware that we are not, the three of us, in your basement, in your man cave, drinking beer, and I'm not going to try to go out there on a limb, especially for fights that are not mine. So if I have a positive thing to say, I'll say it. If I'm unable to summon something that is congratulatory or whatever, then I'm gonna leave it the fuck alone, because that ain't my business. You know, I feel bad when, like you mentioned, some of your picks were people who've been involved in some legal issues to where people may have been assaulted or what have. I think that's dangerous. So I'm not inclined to jump into dangerous things, because there's different parties involved in these things. So how might you feel if this is your daughter and she's claiming what is claimed in some of these situations, or if you're concerned about somebody may be entertaining but they're not very helpful to the society, So I try to be careful, and maybe sometimes I'm a little too guarded. What the hell is Lester doing? Do you need supervision, man?
No, I'm walking around my house.
You just all of a sudden walking around and shit. What's going on?
Walking around.
You take your meds today?
Yes, I did this morning. I'm looking at the time, Max. We ain't getting paid for this shit.
Let's I'm gonna have you off
Max,
for a minute. But
he just got up and took a walk. The hell, where's Lester going?
I thought maybe he was cramping up, or he had.
He just took a walk.
I'm like, wait, did he just go? What did he do?
Just got the hell up and started walking around the room.
Max, I'm gonna leave you guys with one last thing. Your state of the NBA before I let you go. You guys have been absolutely brilliant. I've loved what you guys have said today, but just the state of the NBA and your message to the NBA and the players of the NBA. And I'll let you go first, Les.
Well, I think the state of the NBA is in a great position. Like I said, they're trying to expand and go over, start a league or something over there in Europe and have teams from over here go play over there. I don't watch it as much. I rarely sit down and watch a game from start to finish. I might flick through, but I just wish some of the guys would get their act together, because like JB said, it's a once in a lifetime. I'm concerned about John Morant, about the things that he's doing. Every time he gets calls in the league, the commissioner talks to him, and then next thing you know, he's coming back with the rifle again, getting suspended, and and he's not about that life. He grew up in a Catholic school. He went to Catholic school, so
it lived in a gated community.
Exactly. So all this guns and wanting to be a gangster and all that stuff, and then his dad, he can do what he wants to do, but be a dad instead of being a fan. Be a fan.
Being his buddy, Les.
Yeah. But shades in the arena. People telling me look like Usher and all that stuff. I mean, that's why Shannon, wanted to jump on his dad and stuff. But I think the NBA is in a great place. Like I said, I think it's doing well.
And JB, we're gonna let you have the last word here, my friend.
Well, I'm grateful. I don't know where else I would have spent the years from 21 to 31 or whatever those 10 years were that would have prepared me for what my experience has been since the NBA. I think the NBA, whatever controversies arise, it's okay. It's resilient. I mean, the NBA, think about it, since high top Chuck Taylor's, the NBA is just moving through from one controversy to another. I'm very happy for these young men. I hope that they understand what a rarefied space they're in. I mean, even not to count your money, but I'm sure you're making more than the broadcasters did when we were playing, So everybody, that truly trickle down in politics don't work. In society, it doesn't work. But in the NBA, trickle down works because everything around it is improved with its presence, kind of thing. So I'm grateful. I don't have anything bad to say. I mean, hell, I wish I had had a more perfect career, but even with what I did, I'm really happy about it. That's why I was telling you earlier, nobody can hurt my feelings about anything because, man, if I explain the details of my life to you and much of that, I mean, some of it, I took initiative and made things happen for myself, but they gave me my grub stake, man. I mean, that's where it all started. And we learned things. There are things that none of us are afraid of. We've seen things. We've experienced things that pedestrians don't get to see. We know people that they don't get to see. I mean, hell, I had dinner with Nelson Mandela. They wouldn't have invited me to that if I was, Joe Doe instead of Joe Carroll, kind of thing. So it's not a perfect environment. It's not a perfect space. And it can really be a harsh life if you expect it to do something that it cannot do.
You know what? You guys are absolutely brilliant, but I do have to ask you just one more question, Joe. You know how I fly around. I played with Larry Bird, and Larry Bird came in, and Magic came in, and they said that they kind of saved the league. Larry comes in as I thought at that time, the great white hope, and proved to me absolutely he was brilliant and helped the league and helped us make more money. Is the same thing happening right now with Caitlin Clark in the WNBA?
Well, for me, yeah, because I see and hear everything. I probably tune into all them sports talk shows more than you guys, but yeah, she's enhancing the league, and I think there's a lot of what you've been drinking, a haterade towards her. I see some of the hard fouls that she gets, and all it is just making more money for the league and for the other players. So they should be embracing her versus hating on her because she's making TV ratings go up. Everybody wants to see her play. When she plays and go on the road, the fans the arenas are sold out. So they should be embracing her versus, hating on her, the other players in the WNBA.
Well, I think we have to realize also that it's a competitive space. This is basketball. This is not friendship league. So whatever happens in there is just what happens when you get a bunch of type A personalities, people who are, fierce. Everybody wants to be, nobody's going to stand back and give you, a full, pass kind of thing. I don't know it. I don't know the details a lot. I mean, I hear the headlines with respect to what you just said, but I don't know her personality or the players that they're talking about. But I do know that the women's game has advanced, and I think some of that. I looked at a game recently, and I was like, wow, those ladies, they've been playing with men. Because you know how they play with a lot of finesse and style now, and before you knew you were looking at girls. Now these women are playing basketball like they go to the gym with where the guys are. They kicking ass just like men are out there, kind of thing. So I'm happy for them, especially for these girls that are 6'5" and 6'7". Now they get a chance to associate some type of self-esteem with their massive height kind of thing, because it's tough for a girl. I mean, I'm still at 7 feet tall. I'm still having to go out. They don't ask me if I play anymore because I obviously don't look like I play. But being a former basketball player, it helps your self-esteem out in the world kind of thing. So I said all that to say that I'm happy for them. Sometimes it's a rough science. But I think that's okay. Nobody's going to get hurt. At the end of the night, they're all going to go to the parking lot and get in a Mercedes and go to the house kind of thing. So it's not like they've been starved.
Well, and I get what you're saying about the competitive space, and nobody wants to relinquish because, there were stars way before her, with the Candace Parkers and the Lisa Leslies and now the Asia Wilsons and all that. But at the same time, you can't say we want to make more money and she comes in, help the league to make more money and then hate on her too at the same time. No, that's a contradiction.
Well, I don't think she should be hated on. I think that, I think that what people are playing off, I mean, race is a real thing in this country as we're all experiencing.
Wow. Thank you, gentlemen.
Let's not pretend that it's not.
Oh,
but
no.
In the meantime, I'm not saying that you're saying that, Les.
Oh,
but
yeah,
in the meantime, it has been the underside, the bright side, the silver lining in this whole, it does create a discussion about race, and it lets us understand a little bit about ourselves as a society that, that's at play. And I think maybe it's okay because the end justifies, the means justify the end. It's taken these women to another level of competition.
Unless you saying don't let the hand that feeds you, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think that, like take Stephen A, for example. People think that he's a puppet, that he's, a company man and all that stuff. But if you're able to navigate and make yourself successful in business, then why hate on that? And I think that because she's white and the league is predominantly black, they get that. And it's just like it was when Larry came in.
So they're highlighting this white girl. Put this thing in parentheses right, okay? Let's make sure you say what we're all thinking.
Okay, they highlighting this white girl. Okay, is that make it better for you?
Yeah,
but at the same time, at the same time, you gotta realize that star power drives everything in this business. And right now, she's the star power.
But also I say about her too.
What's that?
She is not only she's a great white player. Forget about it. She's just a great player, period. But she happens to be white, and I think that we can't be naive in saying that does not move the needle when it comes to buying tickets for certain events.
Oh, I'm not saying that at all. I get that.
The financial side, JB, the financial side.
I like it. I mean, I think it's good for them, the attendance, the television revenues, all of that. And I hope some more people come behind her to where it's no longer even an issue. But we are in America, and this is it. I mean, because, you know, we could say the same thing about ourselves, that if we were, you know, white players, our trajectory would have been different just by virtue of the way this society is constructed. In the meantime, we do well. It's just a battle we're going to have to fight, and know that we're gonna see it every day. It's there, you know.
Well, guys, you know, because I know Les saying I'm looking at the clock saying I'm paying you and shit and all that. But, you know, I just want to thank
fun,
you guys.
Man. You know, that's all fun.
Thank you. Look, I want to thank
you. Y'all going to try to make up now?
Yeah.
Make up. You going to make up now? You know.
JB, let me get up and walk around real quick. You know, let's
hey, man. When you got to go, you got to go. I had to go to the bathroom. I could have took y'all in there with me.
Well, you know, thank you, Les.
You're not imagine how long I could have lived without knowing where you went. I swear to you, I did not need to know.
But here, let me just say this. Let me just say this, and then Max, you can do it. I'm you know, like I told JB about a month ago now, that I'm glad that we all have connected back to be able to share and talk things like this, because, you know, my friend circle over the years has gotten real small, and you guys have always been, you know, a part of my immediate circle of friends. And I'm glad that, you know, Max, that we've been continuing going on ever since, you know, you came to my wedding, and JB, you know, us playing together. And I remember the first time you took me over to your place in Oakland, and, you know, made breakfast. And, you know, so these type of relationships.
Let me ask you, did he talk about finances then, what your portfolio was?
No, he didn't. But, you know, you can see all.
He wouldn't let me. When you young and pretty and got all them damn suits, you don't want no advice. Les was tolerating me. He felt sorry for me. He's like,
let me just say this, Max.
Somebody needs to hug this big fella.
Max, let me just say this. I wish I had listened to him way back then, and even, you know, in the middle too. I wish I had, you know, kept listening to him. You know, maybe I'd be sitting on 15 acres like he is out there in Atlanta.
Well, Les, let me say, you might be able to sit on 15 acres if you didn't have an ex-wife. You might be sitting on 15 acres if you didn't have to put them two daughters in school.
Fired.
I'm just saying. I know I would be on maybe a few more acres out here if I didn't have 4 kids and 4 grandkids with mouths to feed. Whereas JB going, who you leaving your money to, JB? That's what we need to know. Who's in? Let's get him real quick.
What's her name?
It's not polite to talk about money. Don't soil your hands with matters of details of cash, you know?
Look at rubbing
I wouldn't, like the guy said, I wouldn't want to, like Richard Pryor said, but wouldn't want to hurt your kid. Let's not talk about that.
Exactly. You heard him bragging about he got his first Social Security check, JB.
I really did. And, you know, you guys have absolutely been the best. And I just want to thank you again.
That's why we together now, because y'all ain't got shit to do. Y'all all done playing basketball. Y'all ain't working. Now y'all come and see old Joe. Like, I make a lot of sense with y'all now, because you all out. You got nothing else to do.
Excuse me, JB. I have 6 revenue streams right now. Okay, so let's pull back on that financially. Okay, let's talk about these things I'm doing on the. I wish that I had done them back in the day, but right now things have changed. But I really, you know, that the support system I get from brothers like you and going back listening, you know, you guys have absolutely been brilliant today. Again, thank both of you guys for coming on the podcast, and I named it appropriately today.
What is wrong with him?
Well, no, I just wanted to show him one of my revenue streams. I'm selling tomatoes out my garden, so I got revenue streams too. You ain't the only one. Look at that tomato. Y'all want to buy some tomatoes? Contact me.
I need some ketchup, Les, so maybe I will come and get up with you. Yeah, you probably make your own ketchup. So I'm
commercial.
Hilarious, yeah. You want tomatoes? Contact Cedric Maxwell on this podcast. I can get them to you.
Well, thank you again, guys. I appreciate it. And
anytime.
Y'all take it easy.